Top-down horror. I love this little subgenre of horror, nestled quietly between survival and psychological. But a good top-down horror game is rare to find, most usually relegated to the RPG Maker pile, all but a few gems forgotten. But staying within the non-RPG Maker top-down genre, two games released in 2014 come to my mind. We've covered Darkwood extensively, but have you ever heard of Darkwood's stunted second cousin twice removed, Motte Island? Judging from the Steam store page, I'd guess not. Well, for the low price of $4.99 USD, you can have meme legend himself from 2014, Morgan Freeman, entice you on an exciting journey to
the island of serene landscape and natural beauty, known as Motte Island. Explore Motte Island's finest underground, awe-inspiring caves, with its endless twists and turns. Rejuvenate your body and soul with the trip of your life, and the promise of exciting adventures awaiting for you.
Meet Maxi Masterson. He's a murderer, but he's also our protagonist. Maxi was charged with the murder of his father in their home on Motte Island years back. The way Maxi tells it, he was fending off his crazed father from killing his sister Sarah Masterson. Regardless of the claims, he was tried, convicted, and sent to the mainland to serve out his sentence. Sarah remained on the island in the care of the former Masterson family butler, Clive, who is now the current mayor of Motte Island. Visions of Sarah distress and plague Max to the point where he will use any means necessary to return to her. And this prisoner transport accident near a boat pier with boats that just so happen to be going to Motte Island is the perfect opportunity to do just that. Fighting off seasickness, Maxi stumbles up the dock, figuring out where to start collecting clues of his sister's whereabouts, when he's approached by the island's mayor, Clive. Now, the mayor knows that this is Max, but all we can assume at this point is that the mayor now believes that there is a convicted murderer on the loose, here in their quiet island town. And on top of that, the mayor's also dealing with the aftermath of a heavy storm that's damaged some of the island's infrastructure. So in a completely non-obvious, smooth-brain way, Maxi proceeds to chat up every last person on the island. A few of the islanders have fetch quests for us, a missing shopping list that you can find at the meat market, and a delivery from the butcher to the local hotel cook. For your troubles, you get a Masterson family photo from Gossiping Lady. I'm not too sure as to why she has one of Maxi's family photos, but you'd think at this point, Max would come to the startling realization that maybe everyone here on the island knows exactly who he is and why he's here, but nope. Maxi, completely oblivious. The way Motte Island tells its backstory is through cutscenes attached to photos and notes scattered about the game. You can get them as either boss rewards or for quest completion. For continuity's sake, I'll parse the story out into chunks as we go. Ready for story chunk 1? Alright, here we go. Mr. Masterson Sr. is the very wealthy mayor of Motte Island. Clive, his butler, is plotting to poison Masterson in an attempt to gain his wealth and position. As he has no next of kin to pass his fortune down to, it would all fall to Clive. Before Clive is able to execute his evil scheme, Masterson is contacted by a middle-aged man claiming to be his son. And what's more is that he's married, and she's pregnant with Maxi. Everything changes. His newfound relatives move into the mansion with him, forming a loving family. This enrages Clive. All of his planning, all the plotting, ruined. Clive waits patiently and shifts his focus to eliminating Maxi's parents. After a long day of badgering the islanders, Max checks into the local hotel to rest until sundown. Continuing the nightmares of his sister in distress, he awakens and stealths into the former family mansion, following the mayor and a nasty blood trail to a secret entrance down into the basement. Just before reaching the stairs, Max is caught and captured by Clive's gooners, taking him to the local police lockup. Back behind familiar bars, Maxi is approached by Clive, berating Maxi for escaping prison and coming back to the island, breaking into the mayor's house and looking for his almost dead sister, sarcastically badgering him about how hard it must have been on him, killing his own father. Max again states his justification, saying that his father was attempting to kill Sarah and threatens the same to Clive if he hurts Sarah. Clive, in utter shock, remarks, "How can you not remember me after all those years of me serving your family?" And then a light finally turns on in Maxi's brain, recognizing at long last that this is Clive, the former head butler to Maxi's family. And here, we reach some of the more pronounced flaws in Motte Island. Maxi claims that Clive was wheelchair bound, but if you remember the story chunk we just went over, you can clearly see it was Maxi's father who was put in a wheelchair, not Clive. Motte Island has a few plot points that contradict one another. I mean, unless I'm missing something, but I don't believe so. Kind of a big oversight, but boop, there, I fixed it. Clive leaves, and we're left to our own devices, specifically a big-ass screwdriver in the sink. After a lockpicking minigame, we're armed with the shovel. Combat in Motte Island is super bare bones. You just spam left click and you can hold right click for a heavy hit. I would have loved to see like a block mechanic or a sprint dodge on shift or something, but it's okay. The boss fights in the game, even with the sparse system, makes up for it a bit. You can stealth kill too, one-shotting most people, just murdering like 2, 3, 14, 15 people. There's a great way to beat those murder allegations, Maxi. Sneaking back into the manor, again, Maxi follows the trail of blood back to the secret entrance where we were pursuing the mayor. Max finally discovers where they've been keeping his sister, in a foul-smelling dank basement, and they're draining her of blood? Clive remarks that they can now live forever and are free to kill Sarah at will. Maxi, hearing this, leaps into action and gets knocked on his ass and caught again. During the commotion, Sarah, having been under sedation, wakes up. But this is not Sarah. She bellows with a voice not her own.
How dare you do this to me? This wretched village is mine. You will suffer more than death. Embrace pain forever.
Sarah proceeds to corpse explode most everyone in the room, and others begin to mutate. The blast even caving in the room Sarah was in. We can't reach her now. Flashlight? Oh, I'll take that. Radio. Ah, the horror game trope duopoly. Through the crackle of static, we hear the voice of my least favorite person in the game, Zadok. Zadok is an asshole that unleashes a fucking torrent of fetch quests after fetch quest upon you. In Motte Island, I suppose the overall allure for me is the slow drip feeding of the story elements and the lore of the island. The stories of each of the characters' own ambitions and motivations. There's a lot of side story in Motte Island, and a whole lot that you can miss if you don't explore further than the fetch quests require. Curiosity is greatly rewarded with a fleshing out of the game as a whole. I understand the reason they're there, to pad out and pace the story, and also get you to divert and explore, but man, still, fucking Zadok. Back on the radio, Zadok calls out to Max, and Max responds, asking him for help and explaining what he can of his situation. But it's okay, because Zadok has a plan. Cool, what a relief. He tells Maxi to get to the police station, that they have a landline there, so Max can call for help. Okay, we're off to the police station, again, but this time we're armed and ready for... Ugh, gross. All the islanders are now mutated moth thingies. Now you're probably wondering, Lone, what the hell is this game? Well, before we go back to the police station and call for help, how about a juicy hunk of answers from Story Chunk 2? Where did we leave off? Oh yes. A while after Maxi's parents moved in with their father, Maxi was born. Shortly thereafter, Grandpa passed on, leaving his mansion and money to Maxi's father. Man, how is there no mention of Maxi's father's name, like anywhere? Nowhere in the whole stupid game. I'm just gonna call him Maxi Dad from now on. Anyway, Maxi's parents got busy conceiving Sarah, and this motivates Clive to enact his plan to eliminate the Masterson family, starting with Maxi Mom. No mention of her name either. The loss of his wife hits Maxi Dad hard. He becomes reclusive, obsessed with a local island tribe that had lived here long ago before colonization, the Motuas. On the first floor of the manor in Maxi Dad's office, you can read his journal entries from this time period. It's really long, but it's very important to the story, so I've edited them down for time.
January 11th. After reading the book about the Motuas, I'm interested in finding their artifacts. It is proving difficult, due to most of it having been destroyed by my ancestors' heretical nature. As an amateur archaeologist, I'm quite sad to hear of it. I must expand the basement. It's getting full. Think I'll travel to the mainland for a day or two, purchase some materials for the expansion. January 13th. Today is full of surprises. I found the ruins of Motua when demolishing the basement wall. It's a simple dungeon with a sealed hole in the ground, engraved with some kind of goddess relief. I think it's the Motua's deity, the goddess of life. According to the legend, the Motua people sealed their own deity into a magical prison because they had learned she was not a goddess at all. but a demon. She gave people immortality through her blood and brought worshippers to her realm. One Motua escaped and told the tribe that her realm is actually a place of eternal, hellish war. The basement can wait. I need to excavate the ruins. I'm very excited. January 15th. Sarah has fallen ill since opening the seal. She has a high fever and is muttering about the goddess of life. Strange things have happened to the excavation crew. Some have fallen ill, some were hallucinating about a winged goddess. I don't know how to explain what I've seen. I should stop the excavation and care for my daughter. January 18th. Sarah suddenly healed by the time I'd sealed the hole. I feel grateful. I should spend more time with her and Maxi. I've learned my lesson. January 29th. Sarah has been acting strangely for days. It's like she has become someone else. Her eyes are cold. I've heard strange noises like insect wings fluttering in the night, and eerie voices. Maxi has contracted typhoid fever, and he's been at the clinic for the last several days. I'm very stressed. I wish my wife were still alive. It's hard to be alone like this, but luckily I still have my children. I love them both very much. January 30th. I accidentally caught Sarah floating and muttering strange words. Am I hallucinating? Have I gone mad? February 1st. It's not only Sarah. Everyone in this house is acting strange. Maids fighting each other, but stop suddenly in the presence of Sarah, as if she's controlling them. I'm exhausted and confused. God help me. February 5th. She is not Sarah anymore. This is not my daughter. Maxi's unaware of it for now, but she looks at him as if wanting him dead. February 6th. I caught Sarah almost choking Maxi to death. I was able to stop her in time. I need to isolate her, keep her from hurting anyone else. She is no longer my daughter. She is a demon, a reincarnation of the fallen goddess. I've seen her dreadful wings with my own eyes. I must stop her. Forgive me, Sarah.
Woo, that was a spicy story chunk. Quite a few things get put into perspective. Maxi Dad, we no longer see as a crazed madman with murderous intent towards Sarah. He was convinced that she had been possessed by the Motua's goddess of life. The island, home to an ancient tribe, fooled into worshipping a malevolent demon. The goddess does give eternal life, but it's a life of never-ending pain and torment. And Maxi's dad opened the front door to the goddess's prison, being so grief-stricken that he needed to occupy his thoughts with anything but his wife's death due to Clive. All right, let's get to the police station and check that landline. Fighting our way there, you can see the extent of Sarah's mutative powers on the islanders. Moth-like creatures, very aggressive, and a lot tougher than their human forms. There's a cool mechanic. If your health bar drains completely, you lose your flashlight, and you have a few seconds to pick it back up again for a second wind. Oh, also, you use the toilet to heal. Well, bad news about the police station. Zadok's plan, calling for help, is useless. Of course. Due to the storm, all the landlines are down. There's no way to call off the island. Maxi calls Zadok for a backup plan to get help and save Sarah. And, of course, he has another great plan. He says that there's a car with a boat tow in the garage of the manor. Maxi can use that to get around the island to Thomas Bay. And from there, he can reach the underground caves that lead into the connecting route where Sarah is blocked in the basement. Due to the excavation that Maxi Dad did, then it's smooth sailing off the island. Maxi's still not fully understanding Sarah's condition. Oh, this must be the car that Zadok was talking about. But guess what? The battery's missing, Zadok. Okay. I found the battery on the second floor. But guess also what, Zadok? The missing battery's dead. And guess triple what, Zadok? I gotta go back to the hotel and charge it off of their generator. Okay. Battery's charged. It's in the truck. It's ready to go. But guess what? What? There's no fucking fuel, Zadok! Oh. Okay, breathe. We got the fuel. Let's just head back to the garage and just fill the tank. Oh, man. That took forever. I mean, it's such a relief to have it all done with. All right. Oh, everything seems in place. Let's go.
What the fuck?
Oh, God, Clive, you broke the boat. I spent over an hour fixing the car and you broke the... Clive, you piece of shit. You're dead. Well, kid, I guess this is the end for me. Good! Tell me how to end this madness, Clive. You have to kill her. That's the only way. Like what your father tried to do. I don't know why he's like Creole or something. It's so stupid. He did it to protect us, to protect you. The doctor, he knows what to do. Find him, or we all die. Here, take this. Maxi laments saving Sarah. He's finally seeing the situation and the choices his father felt he had to make in full context, understanding what he may have to do to save everyone. But Maxi's thoughts are interrupted suddenly. Hey, where are you? Is there a problem with the car? Zadok. It's okay. It's okay. It's not his fault. He can't help it if he's stupid. Okay, it's just a game. Chatting with Zadok, he fesses up that his intent was for us to find and kill Sarah, that it's the only way to fix this mess. Maxi's not convinced, but he goes along with the plan to reach the caves for now. Zadok strongly recommends that we stay away from the Mad Doctor, but we're gonna ignore that and just see him later. The car, lucky it's functional, but the boat we need to reach the other side of the island with, it had its motor damaged by the mayor's fat moth booty. We need to fix the boat. We need an engine, a propeller, and a key for the boat. The engine and the propeller are with Henderson, the town's mechanic. Apparently he's being held prisoner inside of a well. Okay. And the boat key is buried with Zadok's wife, Emma Burns, in the cemetery. Zadok confides to us that Emma took their child and left him to join the Islanders, leaving him behind, admitting that they are both indeed dead. Before we get the boat parts, let's go visit the Mad Doctor. The doctor's in the clinic just across the street from the police station. Oh, there he is. Okay. I mean, I guess he's just not in a talkative mood. Kind of looks like a Dark Souls helm. Cute. Kill it. There's actually a lot of mini bosses in Motte Island. I really love that about this game. Like I said earlier, combat extremely simple, but each boss has their own moveset and patterns, making each one enjoyable. There's also a cool room in the church that you can visit at any time after escaping the jail that has child's drawings of each of the bosses. After beating one of them, they'll be crossed out and you get a little gifted item. I played through the game like twice before running across it. It's a neat little trophy room. I love it. Well, we don't get any answers from the doctor, but we do get the slaughter room key, which leads to another mini-boss, the Butcher. Let's get him, Maxi. On the Butcher, we find the Forest Hut key. It's right next to the Motte Island Cemetery. We'll go there in a bit. We also find a note, and it's as Zadok thought, sort of. The Islanders were eating people visiting the island, and also people who lived on the island that dissented to the whole goddess of immortality thing as well. The town butcher ended up with Zadok's wife and child. She was able to write a note before they were eaten. The cannibalism in this story is never really explained. Was it just the butcher? Is it an effect of imbibing the goddess's blood that makes you crave human flesh? I don't know. Might be best to keep this note to ourselves, though. Oh, shotgun. But don't get too excited. I'll let the shotgun squeak for itself. If you could carry more than one weapon at a time, it would be worth lugging around. I mean, kind of. But yeah, just avoid gunplay altogether. It's not worth, and it just sucks how little ammo you get. At least until the end of the game. Hey, you got room for one last story chunk?
Oh, God, it's so good. So good.
So we know now that the reason Maxi attacked his father was in defense of Sarah, thinking that he'd just gone mad. Not realizing that Maxi Dad was attempting to protect Max and the other Islanders from a possessed and very lethal Sarah. With Max in jail and his father dead, Clive took over everything. His first priority, keeping Sarah under constant sedation, and gave the doctor the go-ahead to begin experimenting with Sarah's blood. When Sarah was possessed, she changed physiologically. It was known to the Motuas as the blood curse, immortality, at the cost of your humanity, and in some cases, like Henderson and the Butcher, sanity, and a craving for human meats.
So good and tasty.
The doctor tested the blood on animals, but it had no effect. He eventually began human trials, to great success. As far as I can tell, it seems that the blood's mutative effect is muted so long as the goddess is in her human form and incapacitated. So he built a special machine to harvest blood and keep Sarah asleep at the same time. The islanders got back to their normal way of life, but without sickness, without disease, and most importantly, immortality. And that's the backstory as far as I can tell. I might have a few things wrong here and there, and trust me, there's way more story in regards to each individual personal story of the Islanders, but I'm not going to cover all that here. That's for you to explore. And I absolutely love this game. You can casually play through Motte Island in a couple of hours and miss like 90% of the story. But if you really tear in and search, you'll find a treasure trove of history, crucial plot points, and lore. Okay, enough gushing. We gotta go dig up Zadok's wife's grave.
Am I really gonna defile this grave for
A key?
Of course I am!
Heading east of the manor, we reach a sign for the cemetery to the north. Farther east, we come across a moss-covered, dilapidated hut in the woods. Zadok's family home, and we let ourselves in. I mean, maybe Zadok's here? Looking around the hut, all we find is some old discarded garbage. And then when we look at the back of the hut, we find a body that's in bed, and a note next to the body. All right, I'm not going to give Zadok a goofy voice. I'll give him a normal voice. God damn it, even though I want to.
Finally, after all these years living on this cursed island, I have the courage to end my suffering. I choose to die rather than having lived forever and be as insane as they are. My heart was broken when my wife and child chose that goddamn blood. The villagers didn't force my family to drink it, but they had made my family's life miserable unless we followed their demonic life. My wife broke down first, and my son soon followed. I was planning to escape this island, but now that I've lost my family to them, my life has no meaning anymore. God forgive me.
All right, I'll just spoil this now so you're not racking your brain thinking on it. I have no clue as to who we've been talking to over the radio. My best guess is it's Zadok's spirit helping us from beyond the grave. But this is where our communication with Zadok ends. Thank God. I'll take that. Off to the cemetery. Wow. Yeah, there's sure a lot of graves here. Might be rough finding Emma's. Oh, never mind. Grab the shovel and get digging. I got the key, but there's no body in here. And yeah, I mean, that tracks because, well, the butcher ate her and her son, so, ugh. But in grief, Zadok symbolically buried the boat key. Perhaps memories of a family outing, boating around the island to Thomas Bay? Near Emma's grave, there's a mausoleum that opens with the cemetery key. Poking around inside, Maxi hears an old familiar voice. A voice he thought he'd never hear again. Father?
Son, is that you? Come here, my son.
An anticlimactic end to a family reunion. No note, no photograph, just an empty husk of what was once Maxi's father, now laid to rest. Oh well. Speaking of wells, we've got a mechanic Henderson trapped in a well to get to. Boom! Transition. Nailed it. No, not that well. Ugh, you ruined it. This well. Ow, traps. Ooh. Ow, fucking traps. Ooh, propeller. Just the engine left and we're done. Heading deeper into the well, we run across Henderson. This is a tricky fight and an absolute nightmare on, well, nightmare difficulty. He hits and disappears, grunting before his next attack. Maxi can just camp the corner and swipe at him when he runs in. He drops the key to the back room in the well. We find the captain that sailed us to Motte Island tied up and deceased. Rip. Seems the well was used as a dumping ground for visitors who learned too much about what was going on here. Boat engine and back to the manor. All set now. Sarah, hang in there. I'm coming to save you.
Start your engine!
Yeah, it figures. Of course the brakes went out. Zadok even mentioning a thing makes it not work right. Our accident attracted the attention of the locals. Maxi finds a rifle nearby. And I know I said avoid gunplay, but this time it's different. This time, it's... Dawn breaks as Maxi finishes off the last of the monsters. Thankfully, the boat is still intact somehow. Dragging the boat to shore, Maxi embarks to the Thomas Bay Cavern. There's 3 endings in Motte Island. The first is to just leave. Nope, goodbye. You get a little cutscene of Maxi sailing off and a little moth person that is probably Sarah flying away. But no, Maxi would never abandon Sarah. Into the cave we go. Exploring the cave, we find a back entrance to the manor where the ceiling caved in, as well as a slab with a heavily scientifically abused body. It's most likely the person that was tested on in one of our story chunks, cutting them open afterwards to ascertain the physical changes that they underwent during the metamorphosis. Next to the body, you can find a book on the Motuas, the natives of Motte Island, by Eugene Falkman. It's a deeper, more complex retelling of the 2,000-year-old isolated island tribe. It recounts the Motua's first contact by British imperial ships, and of course, soon after, the missionaries. But converting the Motuas would prove impossible, due to them having been fooled once already by a malevolent deity, one that they had quite a rough time sealing away. So they were like, God? We're anti-theists. You can fuck off with that god shit. Further in the huge cave system, we find a crushed bug boss fight. I mean, I guess he got squished when the caves partially collapsed. Poor thing. And towards the very back of the cave, we find a generator that's powering an elevator. There's only one way to go. That's down. The gate to the elevator opens, and we hear Sarah's voice pleading for us to turn away, that the goddess will kill Maxi. Alright, goddess. Gonna do what the Motuas did to you a few thousand years ago, but USA style, with an AR-15. Let's get him. Not shooting Sarah during the boss fight gets you the true ending. It's a very Resident Evil 4 ending. Maxi and Sarah sailing off, reunited, onto the horizon. If any part of this video was interesting to you, please go buy this game and play it. I know it's rough around all of the edges and the localization is a bit off, but I feel like it's that good jank, you know? The kind that you play every couple of years. And if you're like me and Motte Island, every year for the last 10 years. Motte Island will be a fond memory in my mind for years to come. Thank you for watching. Fuck Zadok. I love you. Bye-bye.